In today's episode, we're sitting down with another fantastic guest whose story is one of resilience, but also heartbreak and strength and hope. So from becoming a single parent, navigating a few abusive relationships and experiencing the devastating loss of a parent through a terminal illness. This story will leave you inspired and deeply moved. It did me and Charlotte, so I'm sure it will for you guys as well. The conversation isn't just about surviving difficult times, but about finding the strength to keep moving forward when life doesn't always go to plan. Grab a coffee, get comfortable, and join us for a raw, honest, and powerful conversation that reminds us all, even on our darkest moments, that growth is still possible. Hi guys, welcome back to another week of the pod. Welcome Holly to the shed.
Hey.
Or the rising's growing together sounds better than the
shed. But it is.
It is the shed. Welcome to the shed.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm excited to have you. Just a kind of a quick background. You guys actually used to work together.
We did.
We've met briefly once years ago at a baby shower. So all of what we're going to talk about today is going to be new for me.
Yeah.
I
don't think anyone tells me I forget anyway. So you remember I told you.
Yeah, she's got the mind of a fish. So she's probably like, really? But no, you've got a lot of big things that you've gone through in your life. And I think big things that a lot of our audience will relate to. So I'm excited to dive into it.
I am.
So we'll start with the question that we ask every guest at the beginning. What is one thing or one quote that you're living life by right now?
What I live by now, so I would probably say that life is too short. You never know when your time is going to come to an end. So just live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And are you living by that? I am now, yes.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that you hear all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, I believe it. I genuinely believe it. And especially like what my family's gone through recently with losing people, like it just brings it so much more of a real perspective.
Yeah.
That you can have all these plans, but like, you know, you really do just need to take it day by day, not worry about the little things. But I think even I struggle to actually truly like embody it and live by that.
Yeah.
Any advice on how to really live like you're not sure when to
not think too much about it?
Yeah.
And just go with it.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Don't think too much into it and what anyone else would ever say on anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Yeah. I think
trust your gut, trust your instinct.
I think that is the one thing when people say you know you're not guaranteed tomorrow is because a lot of people struggle with other people's opinions and then they hold themselves back a bit. So that is, I think, the biggest thing. If you can work on not worrying about other people's opinions, I think that can really help you live in the moment.
Oh, 100%.
And do the things that you want to do.
100%.
Yeah. I'm not so about people's opinions. I think it's just more like you say, just probably just think about things that are not probably so important. Every now and then, you know, you get moments like I have to remind myself, I suppose, to live in the moment.
Yeah.
And I do have to. And then when I've reminded myself, I'll be like, chill out, just live in your moment, you're fine, sort of thing, you know?
Exactly.
But I do definitely need to remind myself to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I do.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
So if someone was to meet you today compared to a young Holly, what do you think are kind of the biggest differences?
Back to when I was younger, I would say I was a lot more shy and a lot more reserved. And now obviously I'm a lot more outgoing, a lot more friendly, I would say. put myself out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was probably what I would say, that I was a lot more reserved and a lot more shy when I was younger. Whereas now I've got older, I kind of put myself out there a lot more. And you're a lot more open to conversation. You're the one who would actually maybe start a conversation, whereas before you avoid a conversation. Yeah, exactly that. So before I would feel, you know, a bit more reserved, wouldn't want to talk to anybody, would be nervous about what to say to someone. But now I'm kind of a bit more open. I can happily have a conversation with anybody, whether I've met them for the first time or whether I've met them 10 times.
Yeah.
It would still be the same for me.
Do you think that's just growing up and maturing, or do you think that's life experiences or a bit of both?
I would say it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say it's a
agree
bit
with
both.
that.
I say that.
Bit of both for sure.
We're not all blessed with that from a young age. Some people are. Some people, it's very natural for them to be social and be able to interact without overthinking every conversation and stuff, which I definitely did. But I think getting to an age going through shit as well, when you, like that whole motto that you just said, like, who gives a shit? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, exactly.
Like, just go for it. And then the more you push yourself and the more you care less, which comes with age and experience, you realise like, oh, I'm not going to die from introducing myself to someone or having a conversation or putting myself forward.
Like, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. And actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So tell us a little bit more about your journey so far. You're obviously a mum. You've got a son who's the same age as your youngest.
Yep.
So what was that journey like? How did motherhood come about for you?
Well, it wasn't planned. I'm not going to lie about that one. It wasn't planned. I was quite young, so I'm nearly 31 now, and I fell pregnant with my son at 20, and I had him at 21. I think motherhood did change me as a person. It did. It helped me kind of grow as a person as well, and he came into my life when I needed him the most. Unfortunately, obviously, unlucky for me, I am a single mum. So my son's biological dad isn't in the picture. He hasn't been in the picture since my son was about 1 year old.
Okay.
So I have had to do a lot on my own, whereas obviously other mums have had the help of the fathers and they've done it together, whereas I've always been left to do it on my own. But I am thankful that I had him because, like I said, he did help me through a lot in life and he helped me become the person that I am today because he's my biggest motivation. I would say that if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have done as well in life as what I am doing now because I've pushed myself to do better, to be the better role model that he needs as well as myself, really. So,
yeah.
It's a strange thing, isn't it, children? It's like, especially becoming a parent, you can feel so scared and ask yourself questions, but actually they actually give you this confidence within you to kind of feel that you can do anything.
The hardest,
then even when you feel like you can't, they then, without knowing it, give you that extra kick up the bum going, I am going to do it for
I think there's nothing more powerful and stronger on this planet than a mum.
Yeah.
Because there is that next level of power that you get where you can't give up, can't quit. Whereas before you had kids, you might get to a point where you're like, I'll throw in the towel. This is too much. This is too hard.
Exactly.
Or I just accept where I'm at. You know, that dream sounds lovely, but it's not realistic. And you know, you stick with what you've got. But yeah, having kids, it is the hardest, but the best thing that
I would say it's probably the most rewarding as well.
Yeah.
I would say it's the most rewarding thing as well to see them grow from obviously being such a tiny baby to obviously how old he is now.
Yeah.
And it has been a journey. It's not been easy, but it's probably one of the best journeys that I've actually been through, I could say.
Yeah.
It's been tough. It's been a bumpy ride, but I'm still here. My son's still here. He's thriving. So
and it's not over yet.
No, exactly. Got a long way to go.
No, it's true. I remember even like talking back about like being quite shy, like around people that I know. You know, I am an open book and I probably overshare sometimes, but with new people, especially when I was younger, I was definitely not as confident.
No.
And I think the career that I've had in sales and all the skills that I've learned, you know, has helped me. But I remember even taking Kaysen to like clubs or to like nursery and school and like, hi, how are you? I'm Kaysen's mum. You know, I would never have spoke to a stranger or introduced myself years ago, but I knew like, oh, I know that my son likes your son, so I'm going to introduce myself.
Yeah, like make friends.
Yeah. And like it pushed me to do that. And then, you know, we ended up becoming like mum friends and stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I wouldn't have done that before. So like, because I knew it was best for him.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I'd be like, see you later, drop you off school, not talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I made myself because I knew it was best for him. So they do give you that extra push.
Yeah. No, of course, 100%.
Definitely. Yeah.
What would you say has been the like one of the most challenging things?
What challenging things in life or motherhood?
Motherhood.
Probably the most challenging is obviously having to provide for him solely by myself.
Financially.
I would say financially probably would have been the hardest. But my mum could back me on this one. I've always been in work, so I've never not had a job. And I've always worked as hard as I can to make sure that I could provide for my child.
Yeah. Again, I think it's just something that mums do. Like, I know a lot of single mums. My mum was a single mum with 3 kids at one point.
Okay.
And yeah, there's just like, again, a next level of hustle that comes with it. I can't rely in some cases on the dad. And my kid's not going to suffer for it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to make it happen.
Either sit here and pity and moan about it and we actually get nothing, or this is on me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. And at the same time, I think then it's a very, I often say this all the time: monkey see, monkey do. They see what, you know what I mean? What you've done, and sometimes in the moment they don't realise.
No,
the skills and lessons.
You know, like when you hear, you know, different stories when you're older and you think, I never felt like that was my childhood. I didn't know the struggles that my mum went through, for example.
Yeah, 100%.
Because she never made me feel that like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
See, my mum and dad never did either. They always gave me and my brother everything we needed. So I felt like, you know, I'm going to do the same for my son, because I never went without and my son will never go without. Whether, you know, he's got 2 parents or 1 parent, he's still never going to go without. And to this day, he still doesn't. He doesn't know, you know, the struggles in life, because I've never allowed him to see that, because I've always worked hard to get to, you know, a good place and where I am now.
I watched a podcast yesterday with Perry from Little Mix.
Okay.
When she was on Jamie's podcast, Great Company, I think it was called. And she said, like, she had a single mum with 2 kids. The dad left for, you know, moved on with somebody else. I think he was still in her life, but she was like, you know, I don't think I'd be able to handle as well as, you know, my mum did. And she said, everything we had was secondhand, but I still had it.
Like, still had it, exactly.
Like, I would never have thought like we didn't have things, or like I didn't, like, say, see the struggle. So yeah, mums are just, like, say, something else. And how were you able to, I mean, part in ways with your child's father? Were you in a place where you were happy with that decision? Was it difficult? Because obviously one thing is financially providing for your kid, but also showing up when you're not feeling your best and you're going through it emotionally.
Yeah, so it was difficult to leave. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush with that one. I went through a lot of trauma with my son's dad as well. I suffered quite a lot of narcissistic abuse.
Okay.
So it was difficult at the time, because it's like you get like a trauma bond to that person. But I was fortunate enough to have my mum and dad always by my side from the moment I fell pregnant until even now.
Yeah.
So I've always had that support. So obviously leaving him it was hard at first, but it was a lot easier because I knew that I had my mum and dad. So I ended up leaving the household with him and I went back to my mum and dad's, and I took my son with me because in that moment I thought that was the best decision for my son.
Yeah.
Especially considering, like I said, I suffered quite a lot of narcissistic abuse. It wasn't exactly a good relationship. And I didn't want my son to grow up around that, to think that was normal.
Yeah.
Because it's not normal. No. And I didn't want him to think that behaviour is okay either. So obviously he was a baby at the time, but that was all that was in my head, that I need to leave because it's not just me anymore, it's my child. So yeah, it was hard at first, but I managed to finally pull myself together and put my child first and leave.
I'm a big advocate for leaving a situation if it's not right. I know you hear a lot. I think it's less so now, but definitely more maybe our parents' generation of, oh, we're stuck together for the kids.
Yeah. No.
Don't. Like, my parents broke up, my biological dad, when I was 6. And that was such the right decision because, like you say, it's not a good environment if you're not compatible. No. If there is, you know, bad traits and experiences that the parents are going through, it really can negatively affect the kids much more staying together than actually being apart. Yeah. And people fear so much about, oh, what are the kids going to go through if we break up? And it's like, actually, sometimes that's so much healthier.
It's so much better. Well, it's like I didn't want my son to grow up and think that the behaviour of his dad was how you should treat people.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want that. So that was the biggest thing for me, is I didn't want Leo to grow up around that environment and think that's how you treat a woman. Yeah. Or that's how you treat anyone, to be honest. Not whether it's a woman, whether it's a kid, whether it's a man. You don't treat anybody that way. So that is one of the biggest reasons as to why I did say, you know, enough's enough now. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And good for you for doing it.
Yeah. It
like
takes
you
a lot
said,
of
there's
strength.
people who do thinking, again, thinking they're doing the right thing. But I don't know if it was you or someone else who said that when their parents did finally split, it was like a bit of a relief. Like, actually, the house is calmer now.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, as much as you were together, it was so heightened and tense, and whether it was shouting or not shouting, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
And as much as you're split, and okay, it's not nice, the house is a nicer place to be in.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
so
yeah,
I suppose
100%.
that side of it, you know,
100%. And because Leo was so young, he doesn't know any different. Obviously, it is a shame because I always grew up with both of my parents being together, and they were together right till the very end until my dad passed. But you know, I always sit and think to myself, Leo has never been without. He's always had that male role model in his life, whether it was my dad or even my brother. My brother was fantastic with my son, and he did help me a lot in being that perfect male role model. Which I am really grateful for, because if it wasn't for my brother at the time, I think it would have been a lot harder for me.
Yeah.
And especially even with my parents as well. If my parents weren't there, I think I would have found it a lot harder to leave if I didn't have that family support around me.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know, I think her name's Anna Wilkinson or Williamson. She's the coach on Celebs Go Dating.
I do know her,
Yeah. So she's come out and she's got, you know, a lovely marriage, loads of kids now.
She does a podcast, right?
Yeah, with Louisa Zisman.
Louisanna or something. It's
Luana.
Luana.
I know.
Yeah, so she actually, I listened to a podcast with her recently where she opened up a lot about her past life, and she
With Olivia Atwood.
Yeah. I watched it too. Did you? Oh my God, I am shocked that she's watched the podcast.
I need to watch it.
I don't watch anything. That's why I know this one.
Well, I'll let you know a little bit about it, but definitely worth a watch for the audience. But just to fill you in a little bit, she actually done like 10 years in child entertainment, like on TV and presenting and everything like that. And then she got out of a really difficult relationship. That's, you know, sparked her passion to life coaching and relationships. And that's how she ended up going into TV with, you know, being a life coach. And that's how she ended up on Celebs Go Dating. But she said that she grew up with her mum and dad together. They're still happily married now. Loads of brothers around. So she's got a bit of banter and she knows how to take the piss out of herself. And,
yeah, of course.
And, you know, quite a bold, strong, I know what I want and I went for it. All the traits you would think of a strong, confident woman. Yeah. And she found herself in her early 20s in a long-term abusive relationship, a lot of, you know, psychological abuse and narcissistic behavior, like you mentioned. And she said, I just hadn't seen it, didn't know what the flags were, didn't know how to get out of it. So, and you would never expect that typical type of woman with the strengths that she had
to not realize,
to get to a place where she was having a breakdown, and then that, you know, forced the end of the relationship.
You're kind of describing me in a way, because I never really knew about anything to do with like being a narcissist or.
Well, it's only really spoke about like now.
It is now, but back obviously a couple of years ago, obviously when I was still with him, I never really saw it, and I thought that it was kind of okay, and that's kind of what a relationship was like. Because I would say he was probably one of my most serious relationships. So I kind of thought, oh, well, maybe that's how a relationship is. Yeah. But then after, when people kept telling me, you know, Holly, this behavior isn't okay, like he was cheating on me all of the time. When I was pregnant, I would get messages on social media from girls that he would go and try and obviously take them home with him or go to their house while I was heavily pregnant. And I never really saw it until I think it was actually my dad that said, Holly, you need to wake the fuck up now. Excuse my language, guys, but that is literally
sometimes you need that.
I need that. I needed that, because anytime I needed any kind of advice, I would always go to my dad, because he would always know what to say and he would always make me feel better about the situation. Yeah. And I know that even though sometimes some things are quite hard to hear, you still need to listen to them. And I think that's a lot where people go wrong nowadays, is that people are too frightened to tell somebody the truth because they're too scared to, you know, have the reaction of that person. Whereas me being me, I don't care what you have to say to me. If it's hard to hear or not, I would rather you tell me.
Yeah. Some of the best conversations are the hard conversations, and we can't avoid them because that's what helps.
Well,
ultimately
exactly.
in
And
those
it's like that
moments.
person might see something that I can't see. And in this case, my dad did see it.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, you know, Holly, this isn't okay. Like, I don't want you to be treated like this. You're my daughter.
Yeah.
And this isn't okay. Like the way he's treating you, the way he's talking to you, it's not on.
So for the audience, if they're maybe questioning a relationship like that, or maybe they're oblivious to it and they're maybe starting to get friends and family and close people tell them, what, looking back now, are maybe some of the earlier signs that you just were oblivious to that now would be red flags?
Probably I would say more so the manipulation, obviously turning everything around on you, making everyone believe that it's your fault and making you believe it's your fault as well. I would say that's probably a major red flag.
I think that's what Anna actually mentioned, is that they're so good at making you doubt what actually happened that you doubt yourself.
And gaslighting, I would say, is a very big thing as well, that they gaslight you. So they treat you a certain way, but then they kind of try and gaslight you into saying, well, you shouldn't feel like that, or why do you feel like that for? And it makes you then feel quite stupid and quite, well, okay, why do I feel like
maybe
that?
I did overreact.
Maybe I overreacted.
Like
exactly. And it was hard, and it happened a lot to me. I used to question everything all of the time. At one point, I didn't actually know what was actually reality and what wasn't, because I was so confused, because there was a lot of narcissistic abuse going on and a lot of gaslighting that I just didn't realise.
Yeah. No, I think that is a valid point, and I think that is what a lot of people feel like in those situations, and that's what keeps them to stay, because they lose you. The whole point of it is they take away your sense of trust in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps people to stay in those situations.
Yeah.
So no, it's glad.
It was good that you were still very close with your family to.
Yeah.
Well, that's the second step, is they isolate you.
That's what I mean. But
They
also
isolate
that
you,
your dad probably said it at the right time too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before you probably didn't listen.
No, I
Does
didn't.
that make sense?
I didn't listen.
And it was him to actually get that through to you, because maybe another person might not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because at the point, I was madly in love with him. Like, I felt hard for him. So I thought,
you want this
he
to work.
He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that to me. Like,
Well, they don't start off like that. They
No,
start off
they
love
start off
bombing and giving you
fantastic.
everything.
Oh yeah, 100%. But when we first got together, everything was great. Like, we got on so well. And then obviously quite early into us being together, I fell pregnant, which literally was a shock for me, and it was a shock for him as well. Even though he's 3 years older than me, he obviously was still quite immature in that sense.
Yeah.
So I will be honest, at that time I was young. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know whether I wanted to have an abortion. I didn't know whether I wanted to keep him. Obviously I'm happy that I didn't go with the abortion, and me being me, I probably wouldn't have gone through it anyway.
Still, these are all the things that you have to think about.
Obviously in my mind I would be like, oh, what would they look like, what colour eyes would they have? So that would really traumatise me, so I wouldn't go through it anyway. But at that moment I was so young that I didn't know what to do, and I hid it from my family, because I never shown my bump until I was about 6-7 months pregnant. You wouldn't have known I was pregnant. So I hid it from my parents for a very long time.
Really? Until then?
Because I couldn't tell them. I was so disappointed in myself that I couldn't tell them. And I told my mum, and my mum cried at first, but then she was really happy. But I could not bring myself to tell my dad.
So at what point did your dad find out?
My mum told me.
How far along were you?
I would say I was probably about 4 or 5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it, because I was so disappointed in myself, because obviously he was my first serious relationship. It's never happened to me before. So everything was quite new.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed in myself, because we were only together, I think, for about 7 months before I fell pregnant with him. So for me, I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah. There's a lot of shame that comes around unplanned pregnancy.
It is. And I think a lot of shame also comes with being young as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't have kids young, what are you doing? But now I've obviously been through it. Obviously I wasn't young, but I was 20 years old when I fell pregnant.
Yeah.
I think I can kind of see, but I don't think it actually matters like how old you are. I think it's how mature you are at the time, and how you can, even not even at the time, but so what you do with it. So, you know, a 16-year-old could have a baby, Didn't want to mention anything.
Oh, no.
But, you know, I love you. But, you know, a 16-year-old could be a better mum than what a 35-year-old person could
100%.
be. So I don't know why there's so much like stigma about, you know, you shouldn't have babies young. Like, okay, you know, people do say, okay, you're still a child or whatever. But like I said, some parents are a lot better when they're younger than when they're older. And some people take to it.
Yeah.
Like you did, like I did.
Yeah.
I think it's just because the younger you are, the harder it is to provide. Usually financially is the hardest thing for a younger person to provide, because yes, you can emotionally love your child, show up for your child, care for your child. It's just usually the financial issue when you're younger.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you grow up and sometimes, like you say, you can be better than some of the mums that have kids when they're older.
Well, it's like a lot of people used to say to me, you know, he's going to ruin your life. What you doing? You're still young.
You hear that a lot with
But I
unplanned pregnancy.
100% say, and I stick to this, that he made my life.
Yeah.
And he made me.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I'm
know
grateful.
anyone that turns around and says that their
They
kid
broke
ruined
you.
their life.
Instead of saying they broke you, they actually made me, kind of thing, you know? It
He
made
came-
it great.
all the
because
reasons
it's
we
most-
spoke about.
He came into my life when I needed him.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you and all the audience, that I think that if I didn't have Leo, I probably would still be with his dad to this day.
In not a healthy...
Not a healthy relationship, going through all
Probably
the
half the
narcissistic
person
I was
abuse.
gonna
you
say,
actually
that's
are.
Half the
Yeah.
person that I am, and I would probably be miserable.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
now,
And maybe not even still realising it.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
and I would
that
still be in
bubble
this
of-
whole bubble of,
Yeah.
you know, and
Not
something that's
greatness,
not
so-
reality.
Yeah.
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 You know, like my fantasy is what I should say. So
I don't think anyone's prepared for motherhood.
no,
No matter whether you plan a pregnancy, have an unplanned pregnancy,
No.
whether you're 16, whether you're 35, like it's hard. And
is.
like you say, it's how mature you are, how you rise to the occasion, and you can be a good mum regardless of the situation.
yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of the time there is, oh, kids ruin your life. And actually, I don't think I
No.
see any evidence of that at all.
No.
Actually, the contrary. It
No,
makes
exactly.
you the
It
person
does.
that you are.
100%.
And it's hard. And the younger you are, probably the tougher job you have to go through it.
yeah,
But the people that you become at the end of it, and then the kids that you end up raising.
exactly.
Like, my mum was a young mum. She was 18. And she, like you say, my biological dad wasn't the best. And yeah, like, we grew up together and we've got a great relationship, just like you do with Mason.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, like, yeah, hats off to all the young mums.
I could say Leo is my life.
Yeah.
He is
Mhm.
my life completely, and I don't think I
And
would
you're very
actually.
close. You're
I
very
don't think I would be here without him, to be honest. For all everything that I've been going through for the past, I would say 5-6 years. If it wasn't for Leo, I don't think I would honestly be here,
Yeah.
or I'd be in a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
He's helped me through everything, and I'm
Yeah.
really grateful for having him in my
Yeah.
life. I
Like you
really
say,
am.
kids give you that extra power.
I do.
He does.
They
I
do.
really do.
So you mentioned, like, having to work your way up from nothing to where you are now, and obviously having to go through that as a single parent as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that journey that you've gone through.
So obviously I was, like I said, I was young when I had Leo. The first year of his life, I didn't work because I was actually quite poorly after having him. I had quite a lot of health issues. But once he got to the age where he would be able to stay with my mum had him. And I think the first job I ended up going back into when I had him was probably, I used to work in Holland and Barrett. So I used to work in Holland and Barrett alongside a girl called Kirsty. You might know her. She's probably a similar age to you both. I think she lives in San Miguel now. I'm not 100% sure. But she was a very good friend of mine, and she got me back into the job. I was nervous because obviously I was quite a while, like a whole year without working again. So I kind of went back into my shell of, oh, I'm
You
nervous.
lose a bit of confidence as
Losing
well, being
confidence.
like,
Who's
with the
Holly?
baby.
Where's Holly?
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful that she did, because that, to this day, I still probably say that was probably one of my favourite jobs from the get-go, because the customers were really nice. Obviously, she was a fantastic person to work with, and she was my boss at the time. Which helps as well, that you have a nice boss like yourself. You was a lovely boss. But yeah, it does help. So obviously, I went from obviously doing that job to then COVID hit. So then I ended up not working through COVID, because obviously the place ended up shutting down because no one could go there. So I ended up losing that job after a year and a half, I think it was. But I learned a lot from being in there as well. So I learned a lot of customer service skills. I learned a lot about health and a lot about sport and everything, because obviously Holland and Barrett is like a health store.
Sure.
So you learn a lot, and obviously you have to do exams as well when you work in Holland and Barrett. You have to go through
I
courses.
think that's good. You should.
And unfortunately, I never ended up finishing it, and I could have got an A-level qualification for it in like biology and stuff. So I was a bit gutted, but obviously COVID hit, so I couldn't finish it. So then I ended up going on to different jobs, and I didn't have particularly very good jobs. They were just jobs that I could have because I needed a job. Until I ended up obviously getting back in contact with you, and then I ended up working with you and in reception and the dentist, which all you guys are fantastic. You made life so much easier going.
I felt well left out when you all worked together there. I was like, it sounds like a right laugh.
No, it was funny.
One of them messaged me actually the other day, like I don't know what they're called, like a video. It's probably a word for it, but a video basically, when you ring a patient and to see if they can come earlier. And you'll wait around the phone, and then they say, like, I miss those days. It's still my environment, but it's different. I don't work.
No, but it was fun because we all had each other's backs. We would all have a nice time.
Very professional,
but we also
fun
environment, and we all got along with each other. So it was nice. It was a good environment. But then obviously I ended up leaving there. And then I ended up finding a job in like a Hestoria, which is a Hestor, I think it is in English.
Like accountant?
It's more like a solicitor kind of thing, like a bookkeeping person. So I ended up obviously going into that job, which is quite funny. I lasted there for about, I'd say 3-4 years, where I learned a hell of a lot. I learned obviously how to do NIEs, get residencies for people here in Spain.
Skill for
visas, for example, I dealt with a lot of them. Driver license exchanges. So I dealt with quite a lot of the immigration side, and I absolutely love the job. But unfortunately, again, my boss, he wasn't particularly very nice. Another person that's been on this podcast used to work with me as well, and she worked with me with this guy, so she can back me on this.
Okay.
And he was another person that was very narcissistic. So he would manipulate you into believing that everything was your fault, and he was fantastic. So, he would manipulate you into saying, well, you can't get a job anywhere else because this is the best job that you'll ever get. And you felt like you had to stay, and, he wouldn't pay you very well. He held a lot of money back from me when it comes to commissions, because I ended up going into kind of the real estate side, and I sold 3 houses, and every time it came to paying me the commission, he'd always make an excuse as to why I wasn't entitled to get that money. And he would make me believe that was the truth, that I generally didn't deserve it. To the point I couldn't actually really see again, because I'd been through that abuse. It was kind of like it was normal for me to feel that way, if that makes sense. So again, I went through it again, where not with a partner, but with an actual boss, that I couldn't see what was going on until I kind of realised, this behaviour isn't okay. Like the way he treated other members of staff and them leaving, taking him to court. And it kind of got to the point where I was like, this isn't okay. But I still stayed because he made me believe I couldn't find a better job somewhere else.
And you're the sole provider for a child.
Exactly. So I couldn't leave.
And I don't think you picture it coming from the workplace. Like say, narcissism is something that is a lot more talked about now, but in partners, not from your boss or from...
not in the workplace.
Well, we say relationships, and we just presume.
We just presume it's a relationship, like a boyfriend, girlfriend,
you could have a friend,
husband and wife or something.
Work is a huge part of your life all day, every day, and it's just as effective and just as damaging to come from a manager, a boss, someone who's in charge of your finance.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there anything in particular that made you, that was like that moment? You know what I mean?
Where I left, where I got out? Yes.
Like you're saying with say like that partner situation. Maybe your dad who kind of alerted you. Maybe you already knew, but obviously maybe he literally opened the window.
No, he did again. He obviously wasn't here, but the reason why I left working for that company was because obviously when my dad died, he treated me very badly. He wouldn't let me have time off. He kept pestering me, coming into work, when are you coming back? Pestered me the day before my dad's funeral. On the day of my dad's funeral, he kept calling me, forcing me to go to appointments, even though he could have easily took, like, we used to call them the packs, with all the documents in for the client. He could have easily gone and done these appointments, but instead, he forced me to go. And because at that time, again, I needed the money because, again, I was sole provider for my child, I didn't leave. To the point clients were crying with me and saying, I'm so sorry, Holly, that you're here. And I said, look, it's not your fault. Don't feel bad because it's, you know, you've paid for a service and you should get that service. I'm not trying to get sympathy. But in that moment, obviously my head was all over the place. I literally lost my dad and it was his funeral. And like I said, the day before I got pestered. On the day of my dad's funeral, I kept getting pestered. The day after, I didn't have time to grieve for my dad, to the point I said enough's enough because my mental health went right downhill. And I said, I cannot do this because I will go into a deep, dark place. And then who has my son got?
Exactly.
Who has my son got? Yeah, okay, he's got my mum or he's got my brother.
No, but no one can replace
No one can
mum.
replace me.
Yeah.
So I was like, enough's enough. And I sent in my resignation because he kept saying, you know, if you end up leaving or I'll fire you and I won't pay you out because I'll end up making up lies. And oh yeah, he did it all the time.
Oh my goodness.
And he was just a really horrible, horrible boss to have. And I always remember this, that he always hired women because obviously with women, they're easily manipulated, whereas a man is a little bit harder to manipulate. And a man would stick up for himself to a guy with probably have like a punch to the face or something, whereas a woman wouldn't.
Well, that was his mentality.
And that was his mentality. So he'd never hire men, he'd always hire women because it was easy to bully them.
It's, I mean, the cowardness that comes from a man who does that to women is just disgusting. And there's plenty of blokes out there that are like that. And to go through what you went through in one of the hardest times anyone's ever going to have to go through. Yeah. It's awful.
And it's like, I will always remember this, that he was that horrible and he was that jealous of obviously people having partners or having children or wanting to create a family, that he actually tried to get all of us to sign a piece of paper to say that we will not get pregnant while we work for him. And if we do, we get fired.
Is that even legal?
What?
No, it's not legal.
I don't think it would be.
It's not legal. But he would be so full on with it.
Shame on him.
He would make us,
wow.
and I didn't sign it because, okay, I don't particularly want more children at this moment in time. But
who should a boss be to tell you that?
Yeah, we're not allowed to get pregnant. We're not allowed to take time off if our kids are sick. I remember once Leo ended up having, I am allowed to say his name on here, right? Yeah. He ended up having like a really high temperature to the point that he started having a fit. And I had to take him to the hospital. Because I didn't know what was going on. His temperature went so high that he started to have having fits, and he was waking up. He was like hallucinating. So I was in like the A&E all night, and I messaged him to say that I couldn't go to work. If you don't come to work, you're fired.
Oh my goodness!
See, I don't think you don't realise, do you, that there are people in the world like that. I don't know. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Especially
I've had my experiences. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
With, you know, dickhead bosses, but also at the time, I think I had a conversation the other day, I still put it down to the fact that it was definitely something changed mentally. Yeah. Because it wasn't always like that for me, whereas for you, I feel like it's always been like, it was like, but you just didn't realise so much at the beginning.
Exactly.
You did it, do you know what I mean?
But it's like he literally manipulated the whole situation as to make us think that, okay, this is okay, until one member of staff came in and was like, you know, enough's enough. And she actually did tell him, I won't say anyone's name, but she did tell him that I'm pregnant. And oh my God, the abuse that she got, the reaction that she got was horrendous, like, and disgusting. To the point, you know, she ended up getting really upset about it, and she got a lawyer involved and took him to court.
This really boils my blood, like hearing what you had to go through. And this man only exists because someone gave birth to him.
Yeah.
Like, and these people are also parents.
Yeah, he is a parent as well. He's got 2 kids. He's got 2 sons that have nothing to do with him.
And I can understand as a business owner side,
It's tough.
I can understand that if you've got a full team of women, young women, who could potentially be entitled to maternity leave or child appointments or sick days for child, I can understand that thought process of, well, what if we get pregnant at the same time?
Yeah.
I've got no staff. I can understand that thought process.
Yeah.
But the way you direct that, oh my God.
The way he went about it was absolutely
inhumane in a way. I think.
It is unhumane. It really is. And, you know, I've had various experience with bosses, and with my first son, I felt like a lot of emotional blackmail to come back off maternity leave in the nicest way, not in an awful way that you were going to feel. But still was emotionally blackmailed and guilt tripped into coming back.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, my boss now and having my second child was a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like you work harder as an employee the nicer your boss is to you.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And anytime I've ever messaged my boss, like, lost a family member, so sorry, I'm just not in a place to come to work today. Take as long as you need.
Yeah, but exactly.
Like,
you work harder.
I took
when
one
you've got
day
enough
and I
boss.
come back and like, you know, really not feeling well today. I'm like really like throwing up, got a virus.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry you feel like that. Let me know like
when
you're
you're okay and coming back, exactly.
That makes me want to come back faster and work harder for someone.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's just a really old school, shitty mentality to have, and actually not a man.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. And, you know, another good friend of mine, I still have contact with her, but she obviously worked for him. She went back to work for him, but I'll get to that. She was working with me and she actually had fallen pregnant, but she sadly lost the babies. She told him about it and he cancelled her contract and fired her. When she went through a hell of a lot, even with the hospital, she had to have operations and things, and she was going through a very hard time, and he just thought it was okay to just make her feel even worse and make her lose her job as well as her children.
Yeah, but the people that don't deserve good.
So it was kind of a build up to why I left, because I thought, you know, I've seen how he's treated everybody else. He wasn't particularly very nice to me, and to the point where it was just me and him actually working in the business because everybody had left and we couldn't find any members of staff because he was just horrible to everybody and nobody would put up with him. To the point where I felt sorry for him quite a lot because that is just the type of person that I am. Even though I shouldn't have, because he was a horrible person, I still felt sorry for him because his kids have nothing to do with him. He's divorced, he's got no friends, no partner.
Well, he's found himself in a situation that he's created himself.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show your character for feeling sorry for him.
And I did feel sorry for him to the point I felt like, you know, enough's enough now. I can't do this again. Like, I'm not going through this. And especially considering that I lost, it's not like a friend or an auntie or grandma, it was my dad. And the way he treated me was so disgusting to the point I was like, you know, enough's enough now. I cannot no longer work for you.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, being made to feel like, oh my God, this is the only job that I'm going to have. I've got to provide for my son. Obviously, you pushed and went through that. So what would your advice be for women that are feeling a little bit stuck, maybe not treated the best in a workplace? How did you find the courage to actually get yourself out of that situation?
I would probably say that, again, I was thinking about my child. Obviously, not everybody in the same situation has children, but I was thinking again about my child because I thought he doesn't deserve to have his mum stressed out, upset all the time. So I think he kind of motivated me to leave and to do better because obviously, again, like I said, I don't want my son to be around that kind of environment because stress is a very big killer as well.
Yeah.
It makes you very poorly and it makes you, you know, be somebody that you're not. And I didn't want to be agitated all the time and coming home and him saying something, then me snap at him or something like that. So I think he was probably what encouraged me to leave because I wanted the best for him. I wanted the best for him for like, as a mum. I wanted to be the best version of myself I could be. So I would probably say that was probably what gave me the courage to actually finally say enough's enough now.
Well, it's like we say to our kids, stick up for yourselves. Like if someone treats you like that, you can't put up with that. But yet
But we
like
do.
as an adult, obviously there's so many other things that we have to consider in that. You know, it's not like, oh, well, I won't be your friend
But at
anymore.
the same time,
No, of course.
But you know,
it's straightforward. Isn't it?
the biggest teacher for children isn't what you tell them, it's what they see you do.
It's what you
So
tell them.
for you to take action and say, I'm not putting up with this anymore, and
No.
find a better situation for yourself, that's a bigger learning.
But did you, when you made the decision, was it quite like this in terms of like, did you think, right, I need to find another job first before I leave this job? Or did you just think, because you was literally just in that moment, like, I'm going to write my letter of resignation and I'll deal with everything else after?
No, so it wasn't like a spontaneous decision. I was thinking about it for a while, but I think what was icing on the cake was obviously me losing my dad and how bad he treated me. So I thought, you know what, with the experience that I've got from the beginning until now, I'll see what job I can find because somebody would want me.
Yeah.
So I put, you know,
built up some valuable skills.
and obviously I put it out on social media, and the response that I got was incredible. I probably had about 10 different companies offering me a job.
Perfect.
And I'm working for a Swedish company now, and they are absolutely fantastic. I cannot fault any of my bosses. I've got 2 bosses. One's called Mika and one's called Jenny, and they are both absolutely fantastic. They are funny. They are lovely. They treat me so good.
Which makes you work better.
I can't fault
be happy in your
And
environment.
they are so lovely to me and to everybody, and even the people that I work with. They're fantastic. And I'm so glad that I pushed myself and didn't listen to what he said to me, because I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm a lot happier. I'm not stressed anymore. You know, anything that I need, I can just ask my boss instantly. Yep, there you go. Have it. Fine.
Yeah.
Whereas with the other boss that I had, you couldn't ask him anything. You'd feel bad. Like, for example, the boss that I have now, never have to ask him for wages, never have to ask him for money.
That's not normal.
Always there. Whereas with my other boss, you'd have to always constantly go and ask him for money. Why are you not paying me? Or he would decide to pay you under your pay slip what the obviously amount was, and then he'd try and justify as to why he's paid you less. Whereas this boss I've got now, he's fantastic, and he's just a laugh, and it's nice to actually finally have a nice boss. No disrespect to you, Sean.
Oh, no, it's fine. I wasn't under that category anyway.
No, you wasn't.
A good one.
You wasn't. You was a good boss. You was there for me a lot.
It does.
So
It makes a difference. You're right. It does make. I think any environment, if you're in a good environment, it makes you feel better. Whether that's in work, in friendships, in home. You know what I mean? I think,
and it's really hard to see that there is another situation when you're in it.
Yeah.
Whether it's because you're not happy with your boss, whether you just want a different career, like the unknown is so scary. But like you say, you sometimes just have to, especially when you're not happy, just be brave enough to put yourself out there.
Well, exactly. I was just about to say, don't ever hold back. Don't think, okay, what if? Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, because you never know. You might find something better. You might not. But at least
and if you don't, you can move on again.
Exactly. You can do it again.
Yeah.
But at least you're not stuck in that horrible, shitty environment with people that don't treat you right.
Yeah.
Because I always say, and I always teach my son as well, like, no matter what, you always be kind, because you never know what that person's going through. So you might think, oh, well, she looks shit today, but she might think she looks fantastic, or he might think he looks fantastic.
She's been in the A&E all night.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? You never know. So I always tell people to just be kind, and especially to my son, always be kind. Never judge anybody on how they look or what they wear. As long as they're a nice person, that's all that matters.
It's a no talent skill. You don't need talent to be kind, to be a nice person, and it goes such a long way. People don't remember like the information, the skills, the certifications that you have. They remember how you make them feel, and that is so much more powerful, and that will take you so much further in life than any, you know, skill on a resume.
And that on that podcast, one thing I've ever watched in my life, probably, didn't she say something about being kind to people on the way up because they've come back down?
Yeah.
Don't listen.
Look at that. Look at you quoting people.
That's very true, though.
True.
Yeah.
It's very true. And obviously going back to when I was saying about how obviously when I was younger, I was quite shy. I think because I'm so outgoing now, I've shown my son to be quite outgoing, and he is a very outgoing person. He's very popular when it comes to people in school and even outside of school. Everybody loves my son because it's just the person that he is. And I do believe that he has seen that from me, because that is how I am.
Yeah.
He's a boy's boy. but he'd still go and chat and play and have fun with the girls too.
Oh yeah,
you know
but
what I
he's
mean?
very close with
That's
your
what I'm saying.
daughter.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. That difference in he is a very boy's boy.
Yeah.
Rough and tumble, football, whatever you want to do.
No, of course.
But then if, let's say Lexi's, okay, let's just Lexi walk past, or at the same time she'll still go and tag her because we're playing tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. He likes
children.
everybody, no matter whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Spanish, Russian, German.
Yeah.
He will like you just for who you are.
And that's how it should be anyway.
And, you know, during the strike, obviously the kids had strikes at school. When he wasn't at school for like a week and he went back, he got surrounded at the gates. Everyone was like, Leo, we're so happy to see you. And it was really nice to see, because I thought, you know what, that is because of me. I'm not being big-headed, but, you know, he is the way he is because of me, and I am the only one that can take credit for that. And I am quite proud of myself, because he is a lovely boy, and I'm not being biased, but he is a lovely boy.
Sometimes we should take more pride in
and
what we do.
everybody always says to me, anywhere he goes, your son is fantastic. He is such a lovely boy, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
It means a lot, because like I said, I've done it on my own.
Yeah.
And it was difficult, but I'm really glad that people do see that I have tried my hardest with him.
Yeah.
And I still do to this day. I still carry on being the best version of myself and making sure he's the best version of himself. And I always tell him, you know, don't be afraid to be who you are, because a lot of kids get shut down. You're too loud. You're too quiet. Like whatever.
Yeah.
And I always tell him, you know, be you.
Do you.
Just be you. And if people don't like you, that's okay. Not everybody in life gets along with each other. But as long as you're kind, that's all I care about.
It's funny, I had a conversation with a parent yesterday, and one of the teachers of her eldest had said, I'm going to ask your mum to come in to speak to other parents about, you know, parenting and stuff, because both yourself and your brother are respectful, you're polite, and she literally sat there and went, that's it, I've achieved it, I've done it.
Yeah.
Because all the grades and all the things they can get in life, which is obviously what she was dealing with. She was at the school dealing with all these things that you know, we have got to do. But in actual fact, that lesson, or hearing that just little comment, well, it's not a little comment, it's actually quite a big comment, you know, it makes you think, that's
well, like I say, we worry so much about our kids and are we doing the right thing, and there's no handbook, we're guessing, we're making it up as we go along, we do our best. So sometimes having that, you know, comment from somebody else that sees the, you know, it is. I remember once being told, Casey's got really good manners, and I'm thinking, oh, it's so nice.
But see, manners is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
If Leo doesn't say please or thank you, which is quite rare, because he always says please and thank you, I would be really angry, because it's like, you always say please, you always say thank you, and you be respectful. You don't be rude.
We are very much like that. Mitch is a lot worse than I am, and having different friends over from different nationalities plays a big part, because there's some nationalities who actually don't say it, and it's not being rude for them, obviously,
it's just their culture,
it's just their culture.
Yeah.
But even those children in our house say please.
No, but it's true though. It's like, I always say to Leah, when you go to somebody's house, you go by their rules.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just do whatever you please. You always do.
So they take something off us, and you'd see the child go, would you like this? And they're like, yeah. And all our children would just look at us like,
as if to say, like, and you look at them and just say,
but they don't know what you mean, obviously.
No.
But yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest compliments is
yeah.
You know, that.
And it's hard to feel proud and be like, no, that is because of me. Like, you're absolutely well within your right to say that is because of me, and you know, I'm going to pat myself on the back, because we don't do that enough.
And don't say it.
Like, you should be proud of the child that you've raised.
I am very proud, and I think another thing that I'm quite proud of is that I took him away from the situation as a baby with his dad, because if his dad was involved, I think Leo wouldn't be the nice kid that he was today.
Yeah.
So
the closest people have the biggest influences on kids, and that can be good and that can be bad.
Yeah, because that was one thing that I was always terrified about, was, oh my God, say he turns out like him.
Yeah.
And that was for me, no.
So moving on from a not so positive male figure to the best positive male figure that you had. You mentioned your dad, your favourite person in the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've been through a lot with Parkinson's and unfortunately losing your dad. Can you tell us a little bit more about Parkinson's, I don't know a lot about it. I'm sure some people listening don't. Can you tell us a bit more about his experience?
Yeah, so obviously he got diagnosed, I would say probably about 10 or 11 years ago now, with Parkinson's disease. So Parkinson's disease doesn't just affect you when it comes to tremors, it affects your actual it affects your balance.
I'm already going. I'm already going.
Joe, because you'll get me upset. So it affects your balance, it affects your movement, and it does generally affect your day-to-day experiences in life. At first, my dad wasn't particularly too bad. He would have, you know, some falls sometimes where he couldn't balance properly, so he would fall to the side. But he did always still try and fight through because he was very close to my son. You're going to make me cry. He was very close to my son.
Tissues there.
No, it's okay. I'm trying not to. I've told myself I'm not going to cry because I like to talk about him, and I want to talk about him in a positive way rather than getting upset. Because,
and it can help people.
Yeah, and it can also help other people that are possibly going through what I'm going through right now, or, you know, are at the start of it. So, you know, if anybody ever needs to talk to anyone about it, I'm always here. But yeah, so obviously,
I'm sorry. Prior to his diagnosis,
yeah,
he's always been a sportsman. He was a PE teacher. No,
he was
a football coach. He was a goalkeeper.
Yes, he was a goalkeeper, and he was also a semi-professional kickboxer. So he was very into very into his sport, and he was do you know what? He reminds me a lot of my son. My son is definitely a mini version of my dad, because my dad was a fantastic man, and everyone that met my dad would say exactly the same. All of his past students, you know, colleagues, everyone said what an amazing man my dad was.
We
and
left before we had him.
And I am.
Was he not?
No,
Phoenix,
he was. Well, it was called Marathon at the time, but it's now called Phoenix.
Right, yeah.
But you know, I'm very proud to be his daughter. I really am. I'm really proud. But when he got his diagnosis, I think he actually he collapsed in class in front of obviously the students. He just didn't feel great, and he just collapsed to the floor, which obviously then kind of got him to go to the doctors and do all these tests and see what was wrong. And he was only in his, I think, maybe early 50s when he got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So he was pretty young. But he never let it get to him. He never let him beat him. So he would always, you know, still turn up for work, and he'd still do things with me and my brother and my son. And he would always still fight through it. But obviously, unfortunately, with Parkinson's disease, it does progress. So over the years, he did get a lot worse until the point he actually was fully disabled towards the end. So he couldn't work anymore. He couldn't eat properly. He couldn't drink properly. And also he had another disease that goes with Parkinson's disease, which is called supranuclear palsy, which is like, you know, cerebral palsy, which affects, but it's like a different disease that kills off your brain cells. So his brain cells were shutting down one by one. So it's like a slow, painful death, basically, which obviously was horrible to witness. But as I've said to you, Charlotte, many of times, and I will say to you now, Billy, that my dad was my world. And no matter what he was going through, I would always be there for him, whether it was in the morning, in the afternoon, at night time. I would always be there because I always wanted him to know, look, Dad, I love you. I'm still going to be there for you.
Because didn't you and your mum basically become his carers? You didn't have anyone?
No, towards the end, we had some caring assistance, but during the most of it, it was me and my mum. So I was kind of like my mum's backbone. I was the one that always helped her, and because I'm quite a strong person, so everybody always comes and leans on me because they know that I can put up with it. If that makes sense. So for my family, I was always the one that was the strongest and the one that could deal with it the most out of everybody, even though inside it was killing me. Because the man that, you know, my first love, basically, my dad, was basically dying in front of me, and there was nothing I could do.
It's probably got to be the hardest thing with diseases like that. And, you know, with people that have family members that long-term sufferers of cancer and any other progressive type of illness, because you're watching that person change.
And he did change a hell of a lot. Obviously, like I said, he couldn't walk properly anymore, so he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't do anything for himself anymore. He had to obviously get taken into the shower. We'd have to feed him. We'd have to give him drinks. We'd have to do everything, change him, etc. Because he couldn't do it for himself anymore. And everybody that knows my dad knows that he was a very proud man, and he absolutely hated it. And it destroyed him all of the time. But I used to smile and say, it's okay, Dad. You know, at one point, I think I ended up making him laugh where I said, you used to wipe my ass, so I'm returning the favour.
Make light of the situation.
So I made light of the situation because, again, if anyone knows my dad and knows me and they knew both of us at the same time, they would know that we are very similar. So, you know, we had the same humour. So I could say that to my dad without him getting offended, and we'd laugh and we'd joke about it.
And a lot of, like, the fun and the laughter does get removed from them situations, because like even just being in the same room with someone, like you're faced with the seriousness of what's going on. So it must be very easy to always focus on that when actually like you need to bring that lightness back in. You can't be, you know, sad and serious the whole time when you're going through that.
I think in front of my dad I never got upset, because I would never want him to see me upset, because that was one thing that he hated. I can see my lip going. That was one thing that he hated, was to see me upset. And he was always there for me no matter what. I'm going to cry. I don't want to cry. No, I don't want to cry. But he was always there for me, so I felt like I'd return the favour. And I'd always be strong and happy and laughing. And I always wanted him to feel normal and not like a burden. Because a lot of people that, you know, are either disabled or have some sort of illness do feel like they're a burden on their friends and family. And I didn't want...
And all their family wants to do is to take care of them.
Exactly. And I didn't want him to feel that way, because he never made me feel that way, or anybody. He was happy. He was always happy. He was always friendly, and he'd always be the person to help everyone. Like no matter what, he'd give up everything to be there for somebody, whether it was me, whether it was a colleague, a student, a friend. He would always be there. So I felt like, you know what, I'm going to return the favour.
This is the least you deserve.
And it's the least that I could do for you after everything you've done for me.
Even though it's not easy.
I was going to say, it's still not easy though, you know.
It wasn't easy. It was very hard.
You wouldn't have had it any other way.
No, but I'm glad that I did spend the time with my dad, because, you know, like I said before, life is too short and you never know when your time is up. So my biggest advice to everybody is pick up the phone your mum, phone your dad, your nan, whoever it is, and make them know that you are still around, because you never know when your time is up and when that person could go, and you might have a lot to say to that person. So my biggest advice to everybody is to just pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and be there, because you never know what could happen.
No, that's really good advice. And I'll call him next week. And especially with living in Spain, I do have a lot of family members in the UK, and it is months and months sometimes before, you know, we talk to them and that, and we really should make the effort, because like you say, you've lived through that not knowing.
Of course. And with his illness, I think he must have had it for about 8 or 9 years. So it was quite a long time that he had this illness, and he was just getting worse and worse and worse. And obviously it wasn't very nice for my son to see it either, because obviously he kept asking, well, why can't Granddad play football with me? Why can't he come to the swimming pool with me? Why can't he do this with me? And, you know, I tried to explain it to him as best as I could, because at the time he was still young as well. So, you know, there's a certain way you can talk to children, because, you know, they can't have a conversation how we're having the conversation now, because they might not understand fully.
Of course.
But, you know, towards the end, he did get really bad, my dad did, to the point he couldn't talk anymore. And I think to this day, I think I was the only person that could understand what he wanted, because I took the time and the effort to listen. Whether or not it was because we had a good bond.
I was going to say whether I was right or not. I don't know.
No, because he would always nod, and he would get happy that I knew what he wanted. And you know, I used to sit there and I used to like cut his fingernails. We used to have a talk. I used to give him a shave. Like I learned how to shave a man's face because I did it for my dad. Because I'd always say, you know what, Dad, no, I'll do it for you, because, you know, I still want you to feel good. Like, you know, you want you to look good. Because sometimes when you look after yourself, like whether it's your hair, your nails, whatever, it does make
that
you feel
little
better
bit of
about
extra
yourself.
confidence.
And I thought, you know, just because you can't do it doesn't mean that I can't do it. And I think I did take a lot of that strain off of my mum as well, because like I've mentioned before, that I'm quite a strong person when it comes to things like that. So I can deal with a lot more than what other people can. Whereas I would say, for example, my brother, he isn't a very strong person when it comes to things like that. So I took a lot of the burden on from him and also from my mum to make the situation a bit easier for everybody. Even though it was very
at the
hard
detriment
on me.
to yourself sometimes, putting everyone else.
And I did. I put everyone else before me, but I don't regret it because, you know, my dad did have a very good life, even though it was very short. He died at 63. He did have a good life, and he knew at the end that he was loved, and he passed away at home where he wanted to pass away. Which was very difficult because I was expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it to happen so soon. I will bear in mind I might cry in a minute for what I'm about to say. But a few weeks before my dad passed away, I could see that he was really struggling. And we had a conversation about him passing and letting go. Because I felt like he needed to hear it from me that it's okay to go.
I've seen and heard people that have gone through that conversation. And it's almost like I know you're fighting for me and for us. You don't have to.
No, and I think what got me was he kept saying my son's name, that he's fighting for him. I don't want to cry. Sorry.
Sorry.
But
we're all crying, so don't worry.
You're the only one that's not taking a tissue.
But I think that was probably the hardest part of it all, was to actually tell him, you can go. You can go.
Even though you didn't want him to.
No, of course I didn't. I would rather him be here, of course, but he was suffering so much towards the end that I was like, I'm going to be selfish if I keep telling you, fight. And he kept saying my son's name, and I said, Dad, you know, it's okay. He's got me. He's got Mum. He's got Harry, my brother. And he's also your twin, isn't he? And he's my twin, and he's got Alex, which is my partner. And I said, you know, he'll be okay. You don't have to be here anymore. You don't have to worry. I'm a big girl now. I was 29 at the time. So I said, I'm 29 now. I'll be all right.
And he's seen you pick yourself up, you know, out of difficult situations.
He was probably my biggest supporter. My biggest supporter. And he made me believe that I was a good person, that I was a good mum. And he made me into the person that I am today. And I'm forever grateful for him in my life. I really am. Even though it was a short amount of time with him. I'm glad that I got to spend time with him, and he was my dad. Because he was a fantastic dad. Fantastic dad, fantastic granddad, fantastic husband. He was just an amazing man. But he didn't deserve the illness that he got. But unfortunately, it happens, and life is very hard, and life's shit. But you know, it happens. But yeah, I would probably say that towards the end was probably the hardest, seeing how he deteriorated. Sorry for crying.
No, don't apologise.
It just gets hard sometimes, but I don't really talk about it a lot. So this is probably the first time I've actually opened up about it. But yeah, I think towards the end of obviously my dad's illness, it was horrible. Like I said, he couldn't talk properly, he couldn't eat, he couldn't swallow. So it was just a really horrible way to live, and I wouldn't want to live like that. So why would I expect somebody else to live that way? So that was probably the hardest conversation I had with him. And I just said, Dad, it's okay to let go. And we both cried. But I said, it's okay to let go. You know, me and Harry, we're adults now. Leo has me and he has everybody else around him, so he'll be fine. I made a promise that I will be the best mum I can be.
Which you are.
Sorry.
And he got to see that.
And he got to see it. Yeah, he did. And he was very, very close. I don't want to cry. I'm annoyed at myself for crying. But he was very close to Leo. And I'm glad that Leo got to experience that. But what I am sad about is that my brother's child never got to see him and experience life with my dad. So that's hard. But literally about 2 weeks after we had that conversation, me and my dad, that's when he let go and he died in his sleep. My mum did ring me and say that he wasn't breathing. So I jumped in the car and I was like Formula One driver, like driving all through the streets. And I just remember shouting, like, do not leave me until I get there, please. But unfortunately, I was too late. And I saw the ambulance outside my parents' house. And I just remember my brother being there with our close friend Nathan, and they both just look at me and my brother's lip went and I was like, no, don't tell me that. And I just remember falling to the floor screaming, like crying, like, no.
Yeah. Like you say, I don't think anything prepares you.
I was going to say, you know, it's coming, but it doesn't.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't.
You're never prepared.
Nothing prepares you for it.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing prepares you for it.
Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry to do this. I'm on pickup duty today, and I only get one day, and I'll be late. Can you imagine? I've never done this on a podcast, and I really wanted to sit and chat, but I'm so sorry.
Honestly, don't worry.
Well done. I'll listen at the end.
Yeah.
And it's out. I love you.
So yeah, I think that was probably one of the hardest things, was obviously realising that he's no longer there. Even though really he wasn't, because he wasn't himself, it was like a shell of himself. It was still hard to kind of process that I'm never going to see him again, because he was that person. He was like my backbone.
Yeah.
He was always the one that would give me the advice. He'd always be there for me, and he would always push me into being the best version of myself I could be.
Yeah.
So obviously when he did pass away, we obviously had to phone like the coroners to come and collect him and whatever. And I just remember, like, my mum said to me, you know, he's in his room, he's in his bed, because he had a medical bed. She's like, do you want to see him? And at first I was kind of a bit like, I don't know, because it was like an overwhelming amount of sadness and grief, I would say, that just hit me in the face. So
and people that I speak to that go through something similar, it's like, do I want that to be my last
memory of it? Well, exactly. So obviously she said to me, do you want to see him? And at first I said no, but then I was like, yeah, I do actually. Okay. So I ended up going in and sitting next to him in the room, and I just stopped crying. And I just remember just looking at him. And he just looked so peaceful.
That's comforting.
It was comforting, but it was also a relief, I would say, as well, because he suffered so much that you could just see that he wasn't suffering anymore. Yeah. And that's what I wanted for him. Like, obviously, don't get me wrong, I would never have wanted him to pass away, but I wanted him to not be in pain and not suffer anymore, because an illness like Parkinson's disease is just cruel, because there's nothing you can do at all, and you're literally just watching your loved one slowly pass away.
I think a lot of people must be able to relate to that, is that feeling, and like say that selflessness of like, you can go, and the relief of knowing that they're not suffering anymore.
No, exactly. And that is how I felt, that I thought, you know, he suffered for many years with this disease and illness, that towards the end it was kind of a relief that, you know, he's not suffering anymore. But I think it kind of hit me again when they actually came to collect him. And I don't remember a lot, because obviously when you're going through all these emotions, everything's everywhere. But I just remember my brother and my friend, our mutual friend that was there for us, because his sister is my best friend and he is best friends with my brother. But she is in the UK, so she wasn't here. But he was there for us both, and he was there as well, helping a lot when it come to manoeuvring my dad, because obviously he was an 18-stone bloke that is, you know, I'm quite a short person myself, I'm quite small, and my mum is as well. For us two, it was quite hard to actually move him from the bed to his chair or into the living room, so he wasn't just laying in bed all the time, because that's not a life to live. No. And obviously we'd take him out, so I ended up doing a GoFundMe page as well, and I raised quite a lot of money for my dad to get my house equipped for someone with a wheelchair, a disabled person, which I was quite proud of myself as well. Yeah. That I ended up doing that for my dad and to help my mum as well. So we could get him to go outside, not just being sat inside the house all the time.
I guess that's a reality you don't think about.
No,
like, it's actually like the reality of helping someone and caring for someone that's going through that.
So it was difficult. It wasn't easy at all. But, you know, I said, you know, come on, Dad, I don't want you to be inside the house. Like, you know, I want you to be outside, because he loved the sunshine. It was him that wanted to bring us here to Spain in the first place. And I can't thank him enough, because we've had such a fantastic life here.
Yeah.
And he loved the sunshine, he loved the fresh air, he'd love like different scenery. So we would, like, you know, walk him from my mum's house all the way down to like Punta Prima and all the way around and back up again, pushing him in a wheelchair, which was not easy.
Yeah.
But we did it because we wanted him to get out. And as I was saying about my and my brother's mutual friend Nathan, until we actually got a hoist, it's called. Obviously, it's like a mechanical, kind of like swing, I would say, that can move someone easily from a bed to a chair. He used to come up with my brother, and obviously they're full of grown men, so they could at least move my dad from one place to the other. And I can't fault him really, because he really did help, and he was a support for not just my brother, but he was a support for me and my mum as well, and my dad. And I'm forever grateful for that, because he did. And even to this day, he still is there for my brother. And, you know, you don't really get many good friends like that. And I can say that since obviously my dad has passed away, I've lost quite a few friends from losing somebody and going through grief. And, you know, until you go through grief, you don't know what that person goes through. And sometimes people can act in different ways, or they can react like being snappy. And I will admit, I probably was a little bit snappy. But instead of being there for me, people just left me. And I've lost quite a few friendships because they just weren't true friends.
That's quite sad. And I think, again, another thing that's hugely relatable, because in those moments, and I can only kind of link this a little bit to some things that I've gone through. In those moments, you don't really want to talk or be around people, but you need people to push through the trying to keep people away, and so that they can be there for you. And you need those people to step up in those moments and you know, push through the toughness or the exterior, or what I'm pretending to be, so that they can be there for you.
Well, exactly. But people weren't there for me a lot. I think there was only not even a handful of people that were actually there for me towards the end, which was quite disappointing. And like I said, I lost a few friendships because of it, because they either weren't really bothered of how I was feeling, or they just thought, oh, she's just being a bitch. Whereas the reality, I wasn't being a bitch. I was really struggling, and I was in a very bad place mentally. And instead of being a friend to me, you just left me on my own to suffer, which was hard. But I can't fault a few of my friends, to be fair. Like one of my old work colleagues, Vicky, she was there for me quite a lot, because she also lost her dad a few years ago, so she could relate to obviously the pain that I was going through. Even though she went through a lot of horrible things as well, she was still there for me. She turned up at my dad's funeral. My friend Hannah, Nathan's sister, she's my best friend and has been best friends with me since we were about 14 years old. She flew all the way over from the UK to be here for my dad's funeral for me, leaving her 2 small kids behind, because her kids are younger than my son. And, you know, she left her kids behind, got on a flight and came here to make sure I was okay. And that's what a true friend is.
Those friends are rare to have, and we don't normally be able to count those kind of friends on more than 2 hands.
No.
But these situations really do show. And I'm sure there's friends out there that just don't know what to say and how to act. But sometimes, like you say, you just need to be there. And some people shy away from that, or like you say, take things more personally, where it's like, this isn't personal, but I'm just really struggling.
I'm just not in a good place. And it was a shame, because obviously, you know, you lose friendships, but then I think I've kind of said to myself, but that friendship wasn't probably as how I imagined it, and what I thought it was anyway. But there was a handful of people that were obviously there for me. During, obviously, when I worked with Charlotte, she knew obviously what I was going through with my dad, and she was also there for me a lot of the time as well, which I appreciate. I appreciate everybody, you know, because it is tough, and people have their own lives, they have children, they work, so everyone's not going to be there always, but a simple message to somebody can go quite a long way, and to let that person know, I am here for you.
So that's some good advice for those that are maybe have close friends going through something and don't know what to say, don't know how to help.
No, yeah.
Just constantly let that person know, even if it is through a message, even if it is through, you know, checking in, just that you are there as and when that person needs you.
That is probably my biggest advice to people, is to not shy away. Even if that person is trying to push you away a little bit, don't take it personally. Still be there for them, because deep down they do want you there. They're just going through a hard time, and they're finding it hard to let people in because of what they're going through.
What is a really happy memory that comes to mind of you and your dad?
A happy memory of me and my dad was probably when we used to go to summer school when he used to be a teacher, and we used to go to like the water parks and things like that. And I can always remember us both being absolute nutcases going down the most stupid rides and
adrenaline junkies.
And literally we'd go down the ride together, but somebody took a photo of us, and it was hilarious because we have the same mannerisms, and we literally stood exactly the same when we were coming out of like the pool at the bottom of the slide. And it was just so funny. And, you know, we had good banter, we had laughs all of the time. You know, when I was younger, he would always be there for us, and I just can't pick one moment, because pretty much every moment was an absolute blessing to have with him. He was just such a laugh and such a nice person to be around, and he was the best dad. He was the best dad. You know, he was a teacher, like Charlotte said, he was a teacher, and even all of his past students some of them even turned up at the funeral, some of them sent us messages and was saying your dad was like the best teacher we ever had, and he'd always understand and he'd never judge, and he was not like the typical teacher that was horrible. He would be
the cool one,
like one of us. And he would never judge anybody, and that's one of the mottos that I always live by, like, don't judge somebody when you don't know them, because, you know, like I said, people act differently depending on the circumstances. Some might be grief, might be narcissistic abuse or whatever. That person's going through something, so don't judge them just because of how they're acting in that moment. And if you do notice a slight change in their behavior, talk to them about it. Don't just leave it, because you might catch it at the beginning and it might not progress, because if it progresses,
you might be able to really help someone.
Exactly, you might be able to help somebody, and also you might be able to salvage your friendship with them, because obviously, like I said, I lost a few friendships when my dad passed away, because they weren't there for me, and they, you know, didn't take into account how I was feeling and what I was going through. They just thought I was being a bitch, when the reality was I wasn't being a bitch. I was just emotional all over the place, and I just lost the literally the biggest influence in my life. And it was difficult, but like I said, not like my dad always used to say to me, never get offended on how other people are, because not everybody's the same. Because especially when I was younger, I used to get really annoyed and upset at how other people used to be and how they used to react to things. It really got on my nerves, and I'd always come back and say something to my dad, and he said, Holly, don't judge anybody. You know, not everybody is the same in life. Just because you're a certain way doesn't mean everybody else is, and you have to understand that. So instead of getting annoyed about it, just let it go. You stay true to you, and that's all that matters. If they want to be that way, then that's down to them. As long as you're a kind person and you stick to what you believe in, don't worry about what anyone else is like.
You can only control how you treat someone. You can't control people's reactions.
No, exactly.
That's probably really good advice.
It's true though, isn't it, to be honest? And that's what he used to give me all the time. He always used to tell me that, and I was always getting angry about things, always. To the point, you know, I'd come home, I'd be all fuming and walking around, oh, this person is. And he'd go, Holly, don't worry about it. Just because you're a certain way doesn't mean everybody else is. And I'm trying to kind of reflect that on my son as well, because he's a lot like me as well, which is quite funny. And he gets annoyed over things. I'm like, Leo, just let it go. Just let it go. Just because you're a certain way doesn't mean that person is. So don't worry about it too much. But as I say, there's a lot of memories that I can go through with my dad, going on holiday, being younger, dancing together. My dad having a drink, getting drunk and singing on karaoke and making an absolute fool of himself in front of everyone. But yeah, there's so many memories, and my brother can say the same. Like, we had a fantastic childhood. You know, he always did everything for me and Harry, and he worked hard. So we never went without. And obviously there's two of us, we're twins. So it's not just like having one child. It's hard. But he did everything possible for us. And, you know, when we first came here, we were in Spanish school, in public school. And then when we were about 13, 14, I think he decided to move us to private school to do our GCSEs and things where he worked.
Yeah.
And at first I was a bit angry at him because I thought, oh, you're taking me away from my friends. I was popular in this school. Like, what are you doing? And I was furious because I was never used to being around English people. I was always used to being with, like, I don't know, Spanish people. So I never really had that kind of stuck up image that most people, no disrespect to people that go to private school, but a lot of people think,
private school, well, we were the same.
We're better than you, sort of thing. And I hated that. And I would always get myself into trouble. I remember I tried to get myself expelled about 5 times because I just hated being in that school around those type of people. Yeah. And I always remember the headmistress at the time, she would say to me, Holly, I know what you're doing, and I am not going to
I see through it.
You, okay? And it was just funny. And obviously him being my teacher for 3 years was a laugh as well. I just remember I used to walk in and he'd go, so I walked back out again because he didn't want me to be in there because I disrupted his lesson. And he'd went, I go, hi, Dad. And he would just look at me and give me the death stare. And it's like, do not be naughty, because he was quite naughty as a child. And obviously I'm a lot like him, so I was quite naughty as a child.
So there ain't much you could say about it.
No, and then now my son is a little bit cheeky, so I'm like, oh, I can't really, tell you off because I'll be a hypocrite because I was like that. But, we're not going to tell you that. But no, we had a good life. And, he did push me and my brother to do, the best we could. And I would say me and my brother both have succeeded in life. Like, my brother's got his own business. He's a mechanic. He's been a mechanic since we were about 17. And we're now nearly 31. So he's had his own business, and he's also built it from nothing to where he is now. And he's doing really well for himself. And I am proud of him. I am proud. He's doing a lot better than I am. But, my dad, when you're a twin, you do get compared a lot of the time.
Really hard.
I remember in school, especially, because when we were in Spanish school, we were separated. So we were never in the same class. But then when we went to private school, they put you back in the same class. Oh. So, we would always get compared, because I admit my brother is a lot more academically bright than what I am, whereas I'm a lot better at languages and things like that, whereas he was a lot better at, like, science, maths. Like, my brother was a maths geek.
Which is normal. We've all got different strengths, but with twins, I suppose.
But we got, well, especially me, they were always, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your brother? Because I'm not my brother. Yeah. I'm my own person, so I'm not going to be like him. But we did get compared a lot, and we're the opposite to each other, complete opposite to each other. Even though we're twins, we're nothing like.
I know a few twins, and I don't know any twins that are similar. Most twins are polar opposites. Yeah. And it's funny, I'm quite close in age with my brother, and even just being on holiday together, he's like, I remember growing up being like, I'm not as clever as Billy, leave me alone. Yeah. Because again, he's completely different skill set to mine. Like, say, no better or worse, but you do compare academics to, like, higher than other skills, and actually, like, being creative and, languages, all these other things are just as important. No. But it's hard to not compare siblings.
I know, we got compared a hell of a lot, especially when it comes to school. Like, everyone's like, why can't you be so good like Harry? And why can't you do this like your brother? And it's like, because I'm not my brother. Yeah. Like, my brother was a maths genius. I think he actually got the highest maths result the school had ever had in his GCSE maths exam. Wow. Like, he was really clever. Yeah. And I used to just look at maths and be like, I don't know what that is. Don't expect the same result from me, because it's not going to happen. But no, it was good. We had a good childhood, and my dad was fantastic. And, may he rest in peace and God bless his soul. But, he's missed every day. But I still live. I'm living the life that he wanted, because he loves Spain. People go, oh, but wouldn't you want to move back to the UK? But why?
He brought you here.
My life is here. We got brought over here 23 years ago. So it's a long time that we've lived here. And obviously I've had my son here, as you've had your kids here as well. So it's the only life we kind of know.
You've been here longer than you've lived in England.
Exactly. And in England, I don't know anything. Like when I went back, I was telling you and Charlotte before that when I went back in August, it was just foreign to me. It was just, what is this?
Yeah.
It's so different to how I remembered it.
Yeah. And Spain's more natural, like I say, because naturally you've lived here longer. So we do adapt. We might speak English, but there's a lot that's involved in like your natural environment when you live in a country, and the culture and the language and the traditions and everything. Yeah. It's very different.
It is 100%, 100%. But I love Spain. I would never go back to the UK. Never. When I went back in August, I couldn't stand it. I thought, what is this? I think the only thing I liked about it was supermarkets.
I do like a good shop in a supermarket.
That was the only thing I liked. But other than that, I hated every moment. Every moment I hated there. Obviously, it was nice to see my family, because there was a lot of family that I haven't actually seen for many years, probably since I was a child. So it was nice to see people. But apart from that, I didn't like it. I would never move back there unless I really had to and I had no choice. Yeah. Definitely not.
Right. Well, so much we've gone through. Thanks for being just so open and honest. We're going to wrap up with our rapid fire round. So these are just quick, simple, straight to the point answers. The first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Who inspires you at the moment?
My son.
What do you wish more people talked more honestly about?
Mental health.
Great one. What do you think people focus too much time on?
I would say they focus on too many opinions of other people. They focus on the opinions of what other people would think about them.
What is something that brings you joy?
Again, my son.
What does growing together mean to you?
Growing together, I would probably say it would mean quite a lot to me, actually. Because growing together, it's like it's like a unit.
Yeah.
And it's a unit of different people that can help each other.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. That's the whole point. We do the community that we do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that wouldn't actually open up unless they were on something like this. Like myself, for example, there's a lot of things that I've said here on the podcast today that I probably would never have actually spoke about. And it would have been a lot harder to speak about. Yeah. Unless I was here. So that is probably what I would say.
What is your superpower?
Oh, my superpower. Probably reading people. I'm quite a good people reader.
That's a good skill. Good skill. What is something we've not spoke about that you want people to know about you?
Probably just my personality, what I'm like. I would probably say just a bit more about me. Yeah. A bit more about me and who I am.
What do you hope people take away from this conversation?
I hope people can take a little bit of comfort, because obviously, like I said, a lot of people probably wouldn't talk about the experiences that they've been through, and maybe somebody watching might actually have been through what I've been through or is going through it at the moment, and maybe they might take comfort in saying, okay, well, things will be okay. But just because something bad has happened doesn't mean that that's the end, that you will still keep going and things will be brighter on the other side.
So I've got one guest question that I wanted to finish on. How do you stay so resilient while caring for a loved one that's going through an illness?
Love. I would say love. When you love somebody, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. And when you have such a strong bond and connection with that person, you would do anything for them, no matter what. So you kind of put everything else aside, and
love brings you that strength.
Yeah, I would 100% say that.
Right. Well, thank you, Holly, for coming on and joining me and Charlotte on the pod. Everything that you've been so kind of open and honest about for sure is going to help someone that's listening. It's something that unfortunately we're all probably going to have to go through at some point, losing a loved one, going through difficult relationships and having to make changes. And I think a lot of what you've shared can really help someone make those changes that they need to make, and just give comfort and some really good advice that they can apply to their lives and really help. So thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you for
and
having me.
being honest.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Take care, guys. See you again soon.
Bye.